and its origins. People have actually asked me, is this a kind of a band that I made up, kind of a group of instruments? And it isn't. This is sort of the universal music-making machine of the 19th and early 20th centuries. Back then, of course, as we were saying, there was no electronic mass media. The recording industry really wasn't up and running. So there were thousands of groups just like this. Every place where the public would gather maintained an orchestra. This was considered sort of a minimum size, about 11 instruments. But every ballroom, fancy hotel, restaurant, cafe, cabaret, roller skating rink, steamship, and every conceivable kind of theater. And there were many: burlesque, pantomime, and operetta, musical comedy, and a little bit later, motion picture theaters. All these places had orchestras like this to entertain the public. And there was an amazing literature of music created for these groups. We have 20,000 pieces in our library for this orchestra. I see people edging into the door there. Oh no, the barrage is about to begin. Well, no, we'll do a few tonight. But what's interesting is the universality of this ensemble, the number of places you would have found them, 30,000 or so groups like this in the early 1900s. And the music that they played, the sounds that they produced, were just as natural as breathing to people of that time period. And it's an amazing, versatile group. It's got all of the strings, for example. We have a couple of violins, first and second, viola, providing fantastic middle register, a lot of rhythmic effects, the cello, filling in the middle register with a lot of interesting things. Of course, the mighty, majestic double bass, 957 pounds, fighting fiddle back there. We're here with the wind section, flute and piccolo, not played, you've noticed, at the same time. That's an ocean safety regulation. Pasco here has a couple of clarinets, as they say on Downton Abbey, the air and despair. Maybe they didn't say it there, but anyway, it's a British thing. Over here, we have some brass instruments that you don't see or hear much of anymore. They emphatically are not trumpets. These are cornets. This is the long model Con under. And it's another Con instrument, the Conqueror. That's sort of kind of a short model cornet, I think. So we really like it. The sounds that these instruments produce is such a rare thing, so enjoy it. Over here, the slide trombone, of course, an ancient instrument, goes back to the Middle Ages, but it took American ingenuity to show the world how to play the slide trombone, and you'll be hearing more about that in a little while. And last but certainly not least, our percussion section. The 19th century was this time of amazing invention. Electric lights, phonographs, moving pictures, telephones, aeroplanes, all of these things were happening. And then somebody came up with this device that enabled one drummer to play the bass drum with his foot, leaving his hands free to do all kinds of other mischief. The drum set was born, and there you see a 1910 Ludwig and Ludwig set sitting there before you. So it's time with all of these orchestras, there was this literature of music, people wrote ragtime